What's going on, everybody? Jesse here. Welcome back to another episode of the inventory system. This is episode 3. In this episode, we're going to build upon what we did in the last video. If you haven't seen that, card should be up in the top right-hand corner now. But essentially, we created a couple objects that you can see here that we can place into the world. So at the end of this video, this is what we should be able to achieve. We got our items here in the world. We walk up, we look at it, and we get a nice white outline. Yeah, so that's pretty much what it's going to end up looking like. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Sit back, relax, and let's get this thing rolling. Want to be a part of the conversation? Want to help decide the direction of my content moving forward? Or are you just looking for a group of like-minded people to talk with for support and ideas on your own projects? Then look no further and come join my Discord server. Together, we're building a community of support and a community to collaborate and build games with. Not a developer, but interested in game design? We have members of all types who are there to grow and assist each other. Membership to the server is free. However, should you decide you would like to support me in my efforts, then you can head over to my Patreon, where you can earn various benefits including early video previews, project downloads, direct support, and even monthly chats with me. If you would simply like to donate without the benefits, then you can also visit me on my Buy Me a Coffee page, where you can earn the same rewards as a Patreon, or you can simply give a one-time donation. Of course, donations are optional, but I do appreciate any and all support. First things first, I want to let you guys know that this outline material is not something that I created. It was created by a gentleman named Pawel, and I'm not a real material expert, so I decided to go with this one. I'm going to show you guys where you can download it at, and there's a little bit of setup process to it, but we'll go download it, we'll put it in and use it. I'm using this system simply because it seems a little bit more, I guess, scientific. There's several videos out there you can watch on how to do a custom depth render, or different ways that you can render an outline. Most of them have the process of where it renders the object or the actor twice, and then you just kind of split that object and to give you a little bit of an outline. I'm not happy with that. I've tried those, and it's just it's not really that great in my opinion. And there's a couple other ways to do it that might be a little bit more simple. But if we take a look at the website, this is where it's at. The link will be down in the description. He goes through and kind of explains the process behind this and explains what's going on. As I said, it seems he's done a little bit more scientific notation on this. He's done a little bit more research on doing this, and he's created this material. It's free to download. This is just his blog post. I would suggest, even if I would suggest going and checking out his blog, and he's got some other things on here that you might be interested in. But when you come down here, go ahead and you can either download just the material, which we'll have in there, or you can download a sample project. But since we're kind of implementing it today, you probably don't really need the sample project, but you can do it if you want. Go ahead and select download. You can see I've already got it down here myself. Select download, and then let me show you what to do next. There might be some of you who are a little disappointed that we're not going to build this material ourselves, but I'm not really that great with materials. And like I've tried to instill upon everybody before, if somebody can do it a little bit better for you and is willing to give it to you for free, then don't be afraid to use it, right? We're just kind of learning it. You can take these free things, and whether you use them in an actual production project yourself, or you just use it as a learning tool, then by all means do it. Take that, whatever they're going to give you, take it, look at it, dissect it, and work it over until you understand what is actually going on. So there's nothing wrong with that. So let's just go ahead and do it. We got a little bit of setup we got to do. So let's open up our content drawer here, and I'm just going to put this in the inventory items. Now you can put this outline pretty much around anything you want, but for me, primarily it's going to be here. It's going to be for the items. So this seems like the logical home for it. So I'm just going to add a new folder here, and let's just call this one, we'll call it item outline. And this is where we're going to put it. I'm just going to open this up so you can see what's going to happen here. So once you've extracted the material, if you've only got the material, then you'll be presented with the folder here that just says object outline. You open it up. Actually, I think that I named that object outline. You just have a folder with materials in it. And here's the materials right here. If you downloaded the project yourself, then just navigate to the material folder in there, and you should have a folder with just these in there. One thing with these files, you're going to notice here, right here, this MF convolved texture object. this is only 1 kilobyte. If you try to download this or put this into the project, the editor actually isn't going to see it. So there's no sense in for us taking it over there. I can't find it anywhere in the project. So whatever reason, this is here. So don't include that. If you have problems, go ahead and include it. But being a 1 kilobyte file, I'm pretty sure that that Paul included it by accident. Because even if you go look at the sample project he has, his editor doesn't show this either, even though it's in his file. So I think it was just something that didn't delete when he was making this. So go ahead and select all these files. Now you can't take these and just drag them into the editor. Even though the U object is actually created from Epic, it doesn't recognize it as an importable file. So what we need to do is actually just take these, make sure you deselect this one. We're not going to do this. And I'm just going to copy these, and then I'm going to navigate to the folder that I just created. So for me, that's in this area here. Go to the content, into the inventory, and in items, and here's our new folder right there. So if we select that and then we push Control V and put that in here, you're going to see, there we go. Now we have them into our project. No big deal. So there is a little bit of breakage that happens with this, but let's go ahead and jump in here. You're going to see these all right here. We've got a master material, and with some material functions, these are inside the master material, and then the instance of the master material. The instance is what we're going to end up using. Now, he put pp underscore outliner. That's because this is a post-process material that we're going to apply. There's generally the two ways, like I talked about, with rendering the item, the object twice, and then just kind of splitting those apart, and then the post-process, which is really probably one of the more popular ones to do. And they both got their drawbacks to it, but you know, do whatever is right for you and however you want to do it. So we'll set the post process in just a little bit. For now, let's go ahead and just get this set up and working. It's a little intimidating if you don't know how to do it, but it's actually pretty simple. So let's just go ahead and jump right into that. Go ahead and open up the material here, the primary material. Open it up, look at it in here, and we come back. We got errors, and we've got all these things here, right? Like I said, you come in here and it can seem a little bit intimidating, but it's actually pretty easy to set up here. So this error is just because, well, we don't have anything hooked up to it. It's trying to read information that's not available. So what we got to do here is we just got to relink all this. So if we come in here, and this is going to be the same thing, right? This is rendered horizontally, and this is the vertical rendering. Generally speaking, this is all going to end up being the same. So we'll run through this top one, and then the same thing is going to apply here to the bottom one. So let's just go ahead and get these all set up. So with this one, select this. We need to come down here and hit this drop box, and let's make that the MF convolve texture, this one right here. So now this opens up, and that automatically linked up for us, so that was nice. But now we got an error on that one. So if we just drag all these right here, select those, we can bulk change those. So if we select the drop down again, and let's do the MF underscore extract depth right there, select that one. All of them are going to change. Over here, this other unspecified function, we'll select that one. And with this one, let's make this one the other material function, which is the sample scene texture neighbor UVs. So do that, set this up. Let's go ahead and take the inv size, however you want to pronounce that, and plug that into the bottom one for the texel offset. And we're going to do a little bit of change here that isn't originally part of it for manipulating how wide the line is, but we'll do that at the end. Let's just go ahead and set this up, because that's maybe a function you don't want. So if we come over here now, you can see these are listed as middle, center, middle left. We got another middle in here for the middle right. So everything's going to be top left, center, right, middle left, middle center, middle right, bottom left, bottom center, bottom right. And that's essentially how it's all going to be picked up here. So if we take the middle center, drag off of that, and drag it to the middle center one right there, that's where it goes. The middle left, same thing right there. Bottom left is right there. Top center, top left, all the way down the line. Bottom center, top right, middle right, Middle right is that one, and then the bottom right. So there, that's all set up, and that's the way he kind of lined this up, is just so that's how these are. And then same thing over here. Now we have to read that information, so we can take the top left, find the top left right there, top center, top right, and then just run it on down the line until you finished with it. All right, now that you got all those hooked up here, we still got a few extra pins. We still got these up here, but again, he kind of made this simple here. So the top one's going to be row 0, row 1, and he even wrote in there in the description of it, it says kernel matrix row 0, kernel matrix row 1, and kernel matrix row 2. So that's what they are. He actually wrote those in, I think, because he wrote kernel. It kind of kernel matrix. It might seem like it's an official description for it, but it's not. It's something he wrote in there. So this will be for 0, this will be for 1, and this one will be for 2. So there we go. Now we got that. This, we still get the error here and the error here because we haven't set up this other one, but this is going to be the exact same thing. So I'm not going to show you guys that. Remember, top left, top center, top right, middle, and bottom, and then just hook it up. These are the same functions here. Material function convex is the first one we're going to set up there, and then this one will be the neighboring texture, just like this top one. Select all these and turn them into the extract depth. All right, go ahead and hook up these pins, and I'll see you back when you're done. All right, now that you got those all hooked up, go ahead and drag off the results of this one. This one didn't auto connect for some reason, but no big deal. We just plug it in and those errors go away. Make sure you hook in this bottom one right here. And actually, we're going to change this right here. But if we push save and make sure everything works, we don't have to do anything in the material functions. But there is one thing, if you want to go into these, and I suggest going in and seeing how it all looks, and just kind of try to see if you can't understand the math. I'm not that great with math, even though it is my better subject. Once it gets a little too complicated, it's a little above my pay grade, but this doesn't actually seem too bad. It's just using a little bit of vector math in here. One thing you're going to notice, so when you open up this material function extract depth, you're going to see you get this error in here. It says scene texture expression cannot be used in opaque materials. Not quite sure why that pops in here, but it's just a material function. We're not actually applying this to anything. But if we right click on this blue node and select stop previewing node, that goes away. And yeah, so now it kind of renders there in the preview. So all of them have that going on with it, where he's previewing a texture on here, but you can stop that. I recommend you do it, but it's not that big of a deal if you don't. It just might, kind of slow down the editor a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. All right, so let's run back in here to the outline material, and I'm going to show you guys how to change the line thickness. It took me a little bit to figure this one out, but it's not that bad. It was just a matter of trying to figure out where the line is actually being rendered at, where the size of it's being figured, and it seems kind of logical. It's going to be right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drop in a couple multiply nodes, hold the M key, and click into the graph, and I'm going to take off of these both. These are both going to kind of be the same, and plug this multiply into the text offset, plug this into the A, and this one into the textile offset as well. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm just going to hold the 1 key and click into the graph, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to right click on this to convert it to a parameter. I'm going to name this parameter line width. That'll work. Select that, and I'm going to set some default values here. Default is going to be 1. That way when we multiply these by 1, this is going to be the standard size. You don't want to make this line too wide. You'll see, play with it, make it as wide as you want to, but at a certain size it kind of starts getting a little bit ugly, so you don't really want to go too big. But at the same time, going too small it's kind of starts disappear in a couple spots, so you want to be careful of that as well. I think 1 is probably fine. If you want to go a little bit smaller, I'd just be real cautious of your settings in here. But I'm going to set the slider minimum to 0.5 and the maximum to 2. And these values, you can still go above and beyond these in the material instance. So for me, what I'm going to do to make sure I don't go over that, I'm just going to enter a clamp right here, and I'm going to change the minimum value to 0.5 as well, and the default maximum to 2. So then I'm going to take this down and I'm going to plug this into both the B's of both these multiplies. And since we converted this into a parameter, this will now be available in the material instance. And speaking of the material instance, now we have that. Let's save it, and let's open up this material instance right here. And in here, we need to set the parent of this. So just make sure that we come down here to the outline underscore M material. And there we go. We got the parent. So now we have these available in here. Here's the line width that we had enabled. You can change this. We're just going to leave it at 1 for now, so you can see what's going on. And then the outline color. So if we select this one, make sure the checkbox is open. We can set the color to whatever we want. I'm just going to set mine to white for now. That should be fine. Select OK, and the rest of this should be good to go. So make sure you save that. All right, so the video is starting to run a little bit long, so we're going to wrap this up here. We're not going to be able to interact with this yet. We'll work on all the player interaction stuff in the next video. But I like to end things to where we have some sort of visual recognition, a little bit of a sense of accomplishment for all the work that we've done in the video. So we're going to make this so we can go ahead and actually see what this is going to do in the world. So first thing we need to do is we need to go up here. We need to add a post-process volume. So select add volume, post-process volume. We're just going to drag and drop this into the world. First thing we need to do is we need to go into here and we need to go ahead and search for unbound and the infinite extent unbound. So what this is going to do is this means that no matter how big this box is, no matter where you are in the world, this one is going to render as long as you're in this level. So we're going to call this one, let's go ahead and rename this. You're probably going to have several post-process volumes in your project, so it's good to keep track of this one, but we're going to call this one world post-process. And that should be good enough for me. So unbound, yeah, like I said, this doesn't matter where it's at in the world now. It should be the primary one within the world. Next thing we need to do is now we need to go, while still having the post-process selected, we need to search for material. Did I spell that wrong? Material. Spelled it wrong again. Materials. So under here, under post-process materials, you're going to see the array with 0 elements. Go ahead and hit the plus button here. You're going to get this drop down box that says choose. We only get one choice, so go ahead and select the asset reference. Now we're going to get this other drop box where we can see all our materials. So find the post-process outline instance. We want the instance, not the regular one, so that way it's a little bit easier to manipulate. Now let's go ahead and clear that out. And I'm only going to render this to 1, so you can see that there's going to be a difference here. So we got the one selected. This is the bread. I made sure that this is not set to die. We don't want this to die. I want to keep this in the world. And I made sure that the red berry is also set to false for dying as well. Select the item that we want to apply this to. Select the mesh. And with the mesh selected, go ahead and search for render custom, and you should see render custom depth pass. Go ahead and enable that. So now this should render automatically. We didn't set this one, so this should have the outline to it. Cross our fingers. Let's save it just to make sure. Hit play, and boom, there we go. Now this one is rendering with the outline. So perfect. We will set up in the next episode, we'll set up the player controller to be able to interact with this. But just to show you what I was talking about a little bit here, let's open up the instance. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see this without running the world, so we can't really check the instance like we normally can. But the line width, I'm just going to set this all the way up to 2. And now if we save that, come back out here and play, now you're going to see how thick that line is. And you can see already up there at the very top of that little cone, you can see it's starting to break a little bit right there. So from a distance, you probably can't really tell, but but it really doesn't look that good. Actually, up close it looks okay. So if you're getting real close to it and you want a thick line, then maybe you can. But you can imagine if you enter a much higher value, that's going to be even worse. So just to show you the opposite side of it, if we come down here and we drag the slider down to 0.5 and test that out, hit play, and now you can see what I'm talking about. You don't want to go much lower than that, because you can see at the bottom there, it's kind of starting to fade away. It's kind of hard to see from a distance. So if you're using this, we're using this as a visual cue for when we can interact with an item. So you probably want a little bit more visible. That's why I said, you know, it may not be something that you really need to do setting up this line width, but it's there. It's a function you can have if you need it or want it. You know, you could, might be a little bit too thick, so you could do like maybe 0.9 or something. That might be sufficient enough to keep it thick without making it too small. So yeah, anyways, so like I said, in the next video we're going to go ahead and we'll do the player controller. We'll set it up to where we can interact with it. That'll take a little bit of time, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do me a favor. It helps me out a ton if you go down and hit that like button. If you're not subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well. And until the next episode, peace.